to just start by praying and asking God to bless our time. Father, you know that what you put in our hearts is important, that you put a seed of creativity in each of us, whether it's setting a table, whether it's cleaning out a drawer, whether it is maintaining a family or a business. All those things have creative aspects to them. And you are the magnificent eternal creator. You have created everything there is. So you honor us when we want to create, and we are most like you when we create. So I just pray that you bless our time together this morning. Um, just just help us to see you and to know you more, and to just have a little bit more faith and a little bit more strength and encouragement when we finish this session this morning. We invite you to speak to us. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
So, first of all, let me ask you, but as we get started, and I told Patsy when she first got on this morning, my PowerPoint for this group is up to 331 slides. So I've got a wealth of encouragement here, and of what we've covered in the past. Let me ask you, have you had any creative endeavors this week? Is there anything you can, or that you want to show us or share, that is something that you've done that's creative? Everything counts.
I have been creative with moving to a house half the size that I had. So I've had to be creative with picking and choosing what was important to keep and what was important, that it's not as important to get rid of. So that took some creative thinking on my part.
Absolutely. That's it. Everybody kept telling me when I moved 36 years of stuff that it's cathartic, and I had to look up that word to see what it meant, because for some reason that wasn't in my vocabulary. But it is good to touch every single thing and make a decision about where it should go. And there's something about order and organization and just looking at all that our hands can hold that God has given us. I love that, Tiffany. And we've been able to celebrate with you on Saturdays, watching the journey of finding a house and God providing for you. I love it. Love it. Makes me so happy. Anybody else?
Oh, mine is just doing out in the garden and doing my flowers, and I did a lot of planting, so planting them in the right areas. I had to think about what color went with what color.
Absolutely. Robin,
Figure it out.
anybody else had a creative endeavor this week? I know.
Well,
Kim.
for
Yeah,
me,
Kim.
this is a creative endeavor, okay? I
Yeah.
got a text yesterday about this, and I went, oh, well, she's leading it. I'll listen in. And then to be able to see Patsy and Tiffany and some familiar faces, I'm just delighted. I can't stay long because I have to actually twist my arm to go buy a new vacuum cleaner. You never knew something so simple could get so complicated. I was like, the last time we got one, I was like, when did we get rid of the bags? My son's like, why would you want to keep those bags anyway? I don't know. Anyway, it's creative for me just to go to Walmart, and it's creative just getting on here and learning new ideals. I've always known that God put creativity, I believe Christy said this a long time ago, in everybody. Because everything takes creation. We have to create when we get dressed in the morning.
That's right.
Put our dishes away. But you guys are fabulous. I'm going to be back. I'm going to go run.
Glad to have you guys. Robin, did you figure it out?
No.
That's okay.
I'll just tell you that I'm doing a Renew Your Mind Bible Journal class. And so I was working on the lesson was Psalms 23:1, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. And I made a shepherd and a whole bunch of little journal cards with what we do is break down the verses and put them on journal cards onto a pretty background. It's real
Can you-
pretty, but you can't see it.
Can you
because I
hold it
kind of-
up? If I spotlight you, can you just hold it up to your camera?
No, because it's all digital.
Oh, it's all digital. Gotcha. Well, let me
Yeah.
take your spotlight off. I know you don't want to be huge on people's screen. Well,
Well, I can
Um,
see her creativity right behind her.
I
with
know,
all-
look at her
For my
wall.
quilts.
Yes. Do it.
I have a
Wow,
quilt on every wall in the house, so
that's beautiful.
yeah, thanks. That's
I love it.
my passion is colors. When my kids were, I have 9 children, and one of them's on here, my 50-year-old, and she's going to kill me for saying
Yes,
she's
we know how old she is.
And when she was little, 4, 5, 6 years old, got all my creativity in sewing their clothes. And then when they got older, I started making quilts. And then about 8 years ago, Bible journaling came along. And so I just do everything every day, Bible journaling.
Love that. Awesome.
I love it.
That's awesome. Peach, I know you've done some creative things this week. She paints y'all every day. Every day. I love that. Or
She
draws
does
or
what
paints.
every day?
She paints or draws every day. I love
Yeah,
it.
great.
In the midst of a very busy life.
You want to see this thing?
Yeah, sure. Show us what you got. We
No
love it.
laugh.
No laughing. We're not gonna laugh.
Well, you can laugh. I don't care. Ugh.
She's a
Now,
tough cookie,
Here,
y'all. if
I
y'all don't
have a
know
little
Peach.
koozie do on the bottom, the share screen thing, along with a bunch of other stuff. But I'm just going to hold this goofy thing up. Can you see it?
Oh, look at you. You're getting in some abstract.
Yeah, it's just it's a musician thing. So I got a lot of music friends, and the gallery wants me to do music stuff. So I'm going to do some small music stuff, and I'm getting ready for the the jazz workshop.
Mm.
They like to get little music-y things to
Awesome.
auction off. So that's what I was working on. So there you go.
I love it. I love
Thank
it. I
That's
saw
it.
the guy I just went back on my phone to some things I've bookmarked. I've been working on school plans for school. And I mean, God's just flooding my mind with ideas and things I'm going to do for school. But one of them is going to be art and emotions. And I'm also doing some home ec and some life skills and dealing with I have a whole huge folder full of ideas and 2 full pages that I've written for my curriculum this year for art. And Miss Tiffany's going to help me with my elementary. So I have a big job this year. I'm going to be teaching lower elementary 3 days a week, art, home ec, life skills, and also doing some media and other stuff. So, it feels overwhelming. And when I write it all down, it feels overwhelming. But it is so exciting to see God help us do what he calls us to do. And I see that over and over and over. And not only just help me and give me ideas, but give me excitement, because I kind of get butterflies in my stomach when I think about, starting back next week. The teachers start back next week, and I'm excited about that. So these were just a few ideas that were on my phone. Some of the things that I did that were created this week was, and some of y'all saw my Facebook post, is my little ballerina here had a 6th birthday party. And this is her daddy. And these are just a whole bunch of pictures that I took of the party. So blowing up balloons and wrapping presents and making cupcakes, letting her pick out what she wants to wear, even though this was something out of her dress up trunk. But just going back and looking at the pictures. And, I'm going to paint some of these eventually. They go in my folder for things to paint. So those are all creative things. And I also, when I'm looking at social media, I'm all Instagram or Facebook, I'm always looking for art that I love.
Wow.
And these were some that I put on my phone. I always just screenshot them or, save image as. And I don't know who the artist was. I always try to record that in my files when I save them. And so these may be AI, I don't know. But I just loved the thickness of the paint and the beautiful colors and just the skill that it took to make these, if they're not AI. If they are, then they encourage me to do something similar. So I'm using AI as a motivation, and I'm not getting all snarky about it. I'm trying not to. I'm not. So those were just a few. I did do some watercolor this week. I taught classes this week. Those are things that are creative for me, but they're problem solving. So what else? Anybody else? Anything else
Oh,
you want to share?
I got
Yeah.
it. I got
Yeah.
it.
Oh, yay. Okay. Oh, yay. All right. Let me spotlight you so we can see. Oh my
Oh, is
goodness.
it backwards? It's showing backwards, isn't it?
We can read
No.
it. No, it's right way up.
It's beautiful.
Did you draw all these things or you put them
Okay,
together collage?
I drag and drop pretty.
Oh, yeah.
I buy elements, commercial use elements, and sometimes AI, rarely because it's real hard to fix it, and then I drag and drop them into Photoshop and I make a whole bunch of frames, a whole bunch of elements, a whole bunch of flowers, and then they just, my customers just drag and drop them into the page. And what's neat in the Facebook group is we get to see everybody does this same lesson, but boy, it's so much fun to see everybody's different ways of documenting what they've learned.
I love that.
it's
Journaling
fun.
is so wonderful. It is such a great thing. And writers, I'm amazed at writers. I'm not a writer, but I love to journal. And I'm doing that in my sketchbook for Destiny. I'm doing little portraits of her. And then
Aw.
I'm writing on
I
each
just love that
page.
cubby. That was so cute.
That could be with the little boxes, you mean?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
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 I'm gonna try that for my students at school. So I thought that would be really cool. It might be a good page for our yearbook, Tiffany. To have all the little kids
You
in
should be able to
boxes.
do that if you go to a digital scrapbook site, they'll have a template already.
Okay,
that you
maybe
can get
even,
and just drag and drop the kids' pictures into it.
maybe our Canva has that, Miss Belinda. That would be awesome.
Exactly. Canva probably does have it.
Yeah, I love it.
It's not, what I do is not much different than Canva.
Gotcha. All right. Well, I know Norma's at work. I can tell she's got her stuff going and people are having to drop in and out. But let me share the screen again because I've got a few really cool things to share with y'all. I don't want us to miss them. The first one is about nature. And this is, these are some slides that I've used previously a couple years ago. This is from Eric Rhodes. Peach knows him. He is a great promoter of the arts and artist, and he had a segment in one of his newsletters about nature and slowing us down. And he says, I'm just going to read a couple of the quotes. It says, when photography was my hobby, I'd rush to great locations, take a quick shot and move on to the next potential photo. But painting helped me see the value of slowing down, enjoying a spot, and becoming a part of nature. Slowing down and painting is just what my soul needed. In fact, my friend, the great Russian painter Nikolai Dubovik, sorry, I messed that up, taught me that he and many others in his country use painting as an act of meditation and prayer. I find that when I paint, I'm having a continual dialogue with God. I find myself in a meditative state, lost in the rich greens, the crashing ocean waves, or the distant mountains. It simply doesn't get much better. And then he had a letter from a friend, Kate Edge, that said, by far the hardest thing to be today is to be at peace, to be centered in the place of stillness where the Spirit of God resides, as it clearly does in creation. The miraculous sunset which you witnessed is without limit. It is just simply a total flow of joyfulness in the creation of color, which all of us register with our retinas too. There's a lot in this article, and I'll post it on the Facebook page, but there's a lot of just tips about, or just wisdom about how art and creativity and painting is a response to the beauty that is all around us. This is a painting by Turner called The Fighting Temporary at the Royal Academy in 1839. Very beautiful. The colors are just magnificent. It says he would, let's see, we see his ship being tugged outside of Margate behind a blazing sunset. The emotion evoked in him remained. He would never part with the painting despite numerous efforts, and he came to refer to it as his darling. So you get attached to things, you know, sometimes to your artwork, and you don't want to let it go. Another thing that he says here is it's good to compare our efforts with others and to look and see masterworks but it's more important to quietly recognize how we see nature and communicate that experience. All of us have perfection in our DNA. And one of the great ways to get in touch with that is to sit quietly with nature and allow ourselves to truthfully respond and accept the response too. But know that in our recreations, we are on an unfolding path of happiness, as you say, which links us firmly with the Creator. So it's very, very important in our lives, creativity. And I don't know about you, but I'm going to go over some questions here in a minute, but in the little workshop that I attended yesterday, one of the words that we were asked to respond to was threat, and how threat plays a part in our creativity. Threat, drive, and soothe were three of the words, and we'll get to that in a minute. But one of the things that threatens my creativity is, and I wrote these down, is distraction and a sense of duty, in a sense that I have to get this stuff done before I can reward myself with creative time. Those are,
I will.
yeah.
I was just going over this with my daughter this morning. I purposely committed to writing a Bible lesson every day, even though that's overwhelming and that's a commitment. I needed to do that for me, because if I don't, I'm going to skip my time in the Word. So I committed to a group that I would do it every day, and it keeps me in the Word. It keeps me in prayer. It keeps me focused. And sometimes I feel like I'm overworked and burning out, but I'm not giving that up. It was worth that commitment for me. Just like you're here right now, you committed to doing this, and then you're faithful to be in the Word because you're getting ready for this. And as you know, you've got the gift of teaching, so you already know that resonates with you, and that's how you learn.
And accountability is huge.
Yeah,
Whatever
yeah.
we have to do to put ourselves in that position of accountability.
I'm trying to get the people in my group to be like that, to say, okay, I'm going to sign up for this class. I'm going to be there every day, and I'm going to read my lesson. And everybody, it's not just ADHD people, everybody struggles with, because it's a spiritual battle.
Yeah, distraction.
We default to our flesh, and we want to do other things, and we keep putting it off. And Satan's sitting there whispering all kinds of stuff to us because he doesn't want us in the Word. It's just that simple.
That's right.
So it works for me to have that accountability.
And, my personality from the get-go is pretty faithful. That's just a thing God put in me. So if I say I'm going to do it, I will pretty much break my neck to do it. But it's been a blessing to me to be that way, because it's put me in places that I've got, of learning, and places of encouragement and usefulness. So any other thoughts about the threats to your creativity?
I have a thought.
Yeah.
Always putting everybody else in front of what you're supposed to be doing for yourself.
Yes. And so part of what we're going to talk about today is the health benefits. The health benefits and the things that are necessary. That old Al-Anon thing, I've been in Al-Anon so many years, is you have to put the oxygen mask on yourself before you do the baby that's in your lap. And so we cannot continue to do what God's calling us to do. And we all have heavy things in our lives. We can't do that unless we take care of our own spirit and nurture ourselves and our health. And there are so many health benefits to creativity. Let me share the screen, and I want you to think more about that threat, because I think identifying a threat is a big step in overcoming obstacles. A little bit more on this article from Eric Rhodes is touching base with creation. This is what this segment is. This reflects the reason I'm so insistent on finding ways to reach millions of people and help them discover painting. And he has free demonstrations and art things. What's the name of his Peach? Streamline Art, Eric Rhodes. Anybody that's interested, he's posting Kevin McPherson this week.
Yep.
So I think it's Streamline Art. I'll send you guys that.
Yeah, it does the Plein Air magazine, all that nonsense.
Yes, he does. So he's really committed to that, and he reaches really lots of people and shares lots of things free. he says, though I know painting will give them rich challenges, wonderful experiences, and a creative outlet, it's being outdoors, losing yourself, and touching base with creation that makes the experiences so important. Remarkably, it's rare to meet an outdoor painter who is angry, unhappy, or carrying an ego the size of Texas. And I think it's because they are in nature. They are looking at one spot and taking it in. It's the stillness that makes this special and gives them peace. So that's kind of what I bounced off of today, because it's been so hot here in Tennessee. We've had some 105 heat index days where when you walk out the door, it's like a wall of humidity and heat. And so there's been some days where I've just stayed in the house. And honestly, I can get so busy on the computer or in front of the easel or with making a life for everybody here that I don't even walk outside some days. And I know that that is an important part of not only my spiritual life, but my creative life and my connection with God. This simply talks about our technical world where we're on our phones or on our tablets or on our computers all the time. And we have some of us that are teachers, we have students that we're struggling with, we have children and grandchildren that are doing this. So he talks about taking his grandson with him to their Adirondack, to their cabin they have somewhere. And he spent the whole week with him painting off his phone. And his grandson said, I had so much fun, he didn't even miss his phone. Every minute was occupied, not with a small screen, but with a big canvas. So he took him out for a painting excursion. So painting is appealing because it helps us break away from that. And he says here, which is a good time to put this in. Soon
Is that the painter's name, Eric Rhodes?
Yes, Eric Rhodes, right here. You can see it in the middle of the screen. And you can find him on Facebook. You can find him on, I'll send a link after
He's
this.
everywhere. He's behind the watercolor magazine, the plein air magazine,
Yeah.
oil painting magazine. He's an amazing dude.
Yeah, he's very giving and loving, and he's a believer. And so just love what he shares. In fact, I'm going to watch one of his programs this afternoon. So there's freebies all over the place. But he says, soon your summer will come to an end, school starting, vacations ending. Time alone with nature often becomes less easy to find. If there is time, give yourself this gift of one spot, breathing the air, smelling the scent of pines, and staring into the rich colors of nature. It will feed your soul. And so that's just where I am today. I took a walk. Well, I'm going to show you a few paintings first, and then I'm going to share my walk with you this morning. These are just some that I've saved this week on my phone, or I've posted them on we have a Facebook group called Paths to Creativity, Overcoming the Obstacles. And so I will also be glad if anybody would like to send you an invitation to that. It's mostly my students and my artist friends, but I post pictures on there a lot of beautiful art. The unit I've been doing in my classes this week is on learning to see color, because we as artists sometimes will plunk down and we'll, look at a wintertime woods, and we'll get brown out and gray. And so when I look at other people's beautiful paintings and see that they saw lavender and moss green and blue and all these gorgeous colors in those dead looking woods, then I'm helping them learn to see color as other artists have seen it. So these are some beautiful, I tried to find all paintings of outdoor things or things that were brought in from the outdoors, and just look at the beautiful colors that the artists have seen. And I try to always find the artist's name so I can give them credit. Sometimes they're not posted. But just the softness of these flowers. A lot of times I don't get excited about a big vase of flowers because I think my old aunts had paintings of them and they were kind of boring and dull, and all the flowers were kind of like looking at you. But so when I see a painting like this, that's just spectacular. And look at it has a swirling effect. So there's movement to it. And just beautiful soothing colors. There's a little pop of red in there because you have to be careful with red. It's a little, it can be kind of jarring. And then a whole different kind of painting over here on the right. It's an old, I think it was, I'm not sure who he is, if he's German, but it's very, the light patterns and the colors are very beautiful. I'll go back to these. This is a watercolor, Kara Brown. Has some beautiful watercolors, and I'm just now starting to work in watercolor, and I just think that's gorgeous. Kathleen Gray Farthing. Look at the thick brush strokes. I tell my students a lot that the longer I paint, the more I have fallen in love with the texture of the paint.
Is that impasto?
It is pretty much. It's pretty thick, and maybe some palette knife or just thick. So yeah, impasto. Here's another one with an outdoor scene. Red Canoe by Paul Headley. So you've got a figurative work, and look at the warms and cools in her white shirt, the warm yellows that are all around her, and then the cool light that's coming in. And then this rose, is that just delicate or what? Is that just spectacular? And lighting is everything. So when I walked around this morning, it was all overcast, and I really missed the light because I like the feeling of light on objects. And my art teacher Shirley used to say, we're all like bugs, we're attracted to the light. So people like to see light in your paintings. So as you take pictures and record, or even as you sit outside, you've got to hurry up and capture the light. I didn't catch this one. I don't know who this painter is. This is Amanda Levitt. You've probably got this out on your back patio or your porch right now. You've got a pot of geraniums or petunias or something out there that's just beautiful. And then this is Mary Pettis. I had her in my folder of flowers and just painting out in her backyard. Beautiful roses. And Kathy Anderson. So I did a walk this morning, and I wanted to just share it with you because I don't do this very often, because I was, like you said, Robin, because I was doing this today, I was like, well, let me get myself out there and do a walk. And I went barefooted, and I'll talk about that in just a minute because I want to share with you the benefits of walking barefoot in the grass. And again, it was very overcast. Did I share the screen? Can y'all
Yes.
see my big magnolia? So the first thing I did, well, let me show you my little pathway out to the garden, because the grass is wet. So you can see my little pathway. I saw that as I was coming back in up the front porch, and I was like, well, that's a good thing to record is my pathway. I don't know if I'll ever paint from these, but I made a folder this morning called Morning Walks. And my goal was to go outside and notice beauty that God has made just for me, because I'm the only one out there right now looking at it. Instead of me going out there and weeding and mowing and doing all those things and not noticing things, I'm going to make a special effort to take a walk every morning. It might only be 5 minutes, but to walk around my yard and notice things. I threw some seeds out in the front island out here. And this is one zinnia. And they're all different when you throw seeds of the zinnias out there. Here's another one around the other side. My whole bed is not full of bloom, but one flower. And I was surprised when I came back in and looked at my pictures, because I'm like, oh, wow, I should have got down on my knees and looked at that a little closer. This is another one. No, that's just the, what are these called? Coxcombs? Something, but they reseed everywhere, and I didn't plant them. They were already here. My front porch. Some more of my front porch. You see, we got to paint our columns. Any tips on painting 150-year-old columns? I'll be glad to take those. I set a pumpkin after Halloween out by the bird bath, and guess what? I have pumpkins everywhere. Somebody told me to put your pumpkin outside and let it just rot, and the birds and the critters will eat the seeds, and then you'll have pumpkins next year. So there's some pumpkin vines. There's some lantana. There's more lantana. Some little cherry tomatoes, and I didn't notice till I got inside the little water drops. I'm like, oh, I didn't even see those water drops. The little corner of our cottage out back. The little waterfall behind the cottage, little pathway going up to one of my gardens, and that's just bugleweed, so it doesn't have any blooms on it. It's not that exciting. A little pot of geraniums on the back porch, and then I realized, oh, there's a bunch of dead stuff. Well, I don't have to paint those dead things on it. I can leave the dead ones off, but you did notice I chopped off the dead flower, or you don't see it. I didn't leave it on there. But look how, our iPhones take beautiful pictures now. On the portrait mode. If you put it on the portrait mode, you'll have nice blurred backgrounds and you'll have wonderful. I went around to the other side of the potted geraniums and photographed them from the other side. The front door, and I realized there's me in the reflection, but I realized afterwards that if you're going to paint a doorway or a gate, you need to open it because you want to invite the viewer inside. Listen, I probably won't paint from these, but they made my walk, because I'm a photographer, they made my walk so enjoyable to just capture. And my goal was, I'm going to go outside and notice. I'm going to notice what God has put all around me. And I only noticed 1/1000th of what is out there, or 1/1,000,000th really of what's out there.
You really inspired me to go for a walk.
Well-
Thank you very much. I want to share with you that I put an app on my phone so it'll tell me when the sun's setting. Because I heard
Oh.
somebody say life is too short to miss a sunset. And now I've been going outside and it's about once every 3 days. It's glorious. So it's
I
not every
love
time, but
that.
it's beautiful. And I have gotten some pictures of it. But now I live in a beautiful place. I need to go for walks more and take more pictures. So thank you.
Oh, yes, and I do too. God gave us this amazing compound that we have here. I need to think of another word than compound. But it's such a wonderful estate. It's 150 years old, and there's beauty in every direction that I turn. And how many days do I just stay in here with my duties and my distractions, and I miss what is out there for me? I want to share another benefit of being outdoors, and that is my son, when he had a mental breakdown many years ago after stress of living with an addict and all the things that come with that. And during that time, it was a spiritual awakening for him. He was totally transformed, and it looked really wonky and scared us all to death. But one of the things he was doing during that time when he was in a psychosis was he was walking barefoot. And when he came out of it and he told me more about it, he said, Mom, there's something, and he learned this in karate, in martial arts. There's something about the earth and connecting with the earth that does something in our bodies. And everything he was talking about back then was hoodoo-y to me. And because I'm pretty indoctrinated with some things, it was hard for me to hear. And so listen, that experience has pulled me out of that and opened me up to a whole new world. That walking in the grass is so good for us. And I wonder, now, if you have sores on your feet, or you have some problems, or you have lots of obstacles out there, I'm not saying you should do it, but I want to tell you, I think one of the reasons I've been so healthy in my life is I'm a barefoot girl. I go barefoot a lot, and I have calluses on the bottom of my feet. I have dirty feet every night because I'm walking around. So, I mean, if I've already showered, I always have to go wash my feet before I go to bed. But it does add to our health. And if you look online, there's a ton of information about this, but it decreases, these are some benefits that I found: decreases emotional upset and anxiety. It absorbs energy from the earth, pushes off the body's dirty electricity that we get absorbed, radioactive, not radioactive, what is it? Electromagnetic waves from all of our devices. Even right now, we're sitting in front of a device and we're absorbing some of those waves. I don't understand all that. It sounds hoodoo-y, but we are around devices a lot. It strengthens and stretches your muscles, your tendons and ligaments in your feet, your ankles, and your calves. It does, because you're walking without a shoe all around you. It provides free reflexology. We have a lot of pressure points and reflex points in our feet, and it provides free reflexology and toe stretching. And this is another one: improves circadian rhythms. So I wonder if we started doing that, if we would notice that we're sleeping better. Hey, it's worth a try, right?
Yep.
It's called grounding and earthing, and it can get really hoodoo-y. There's a lot of hoodoo going on in the world right now. I don't know if y'all noticed that, but there really is. But I'm going to take little benefits from whatever I can. Helps with chronic muscle and joint pain. Helps with asthmatic and respiratory conditions, rheumatoid arthritis, PMS, hypertension, energy levels, stress. I don't know if all these have been proven, but it also helps glucose levels, is what they say. among people with diabetes. And heart rate variability. Now, I don't know if they're just pulling this out of the thin air, but I know that it can't hurt us to walk around barefoot. And we were on Bible study one Saturday, and one of our young moms, Sarah, she has 2 little children. Her husband works at night, and so she's trying to keep kids quiet during the day, and she's just stressed a lot.
Mm.
And one Saturday she said, "Hey, y'all," she said, "I got outside, I took my shoes off, I had my kids take their shoes off, we walked around in the grass in the backyard, and it made all the difference
Hmm.
to us." So any thoughts or comments about that? You think I'm totally off my rocker?
No,
I've been sleeping on a grounding mat for about 2 years, and it really does work. It's scientifically proven. There's documentaries and videos online that you can look up.
that doesn't mean
See the
sleeping in the
science
dirt, does
behind
it? What's a grounding mat? Is it sleeping in the dirt?
it. It's a mat that, okay, if you watch TV, if you know anything about any kind of electrical, if you watch TV without grounding it, you can't see it. It's a mess. Everything has to be grounded. And we're not grounded because we wear sneakers. So rubber stops us. So the grounding mat, you plug it into, you know how a receptacle has 3 holes? Well, that little 3rd hole, you plug this grounding mat, it looks like a sheet, and you plug it into the 3rd hole, which grounds it, which means you give a chance for all the negative ions to get out of your body, negative or positive, I forget which one, but it leaves your body. And it really does work. I've had torn rotator cuffs and arthritis and all kinds of stuff that I had pain from, and it helps you with inflammation. You can't go barefoot. Here's the key. You can go outside and go barefoot and do it with a tester, electric tester, and you can't have inflammation and be barefoot on the grass at the same time. So,
Hmm.
inflammation is the bottom line, everything.
So I guess
Awesome.
you want us all to sleep outside, is that it?
Well, the sheet, because I'm inside a lot, I just went ahead and bought the sheet. It's like $50 for, I got a king size bed and it goes across the top, and I lay on it. So I'm getting grounded every single day. And if I don't, if I don't go outside and walk barefoot, I'm not getting grounded. So that's my backup plan.
That's a good idea.
And you can't get overdosed, I'm sure, with it. So you can't, if you did both, if you laid on the sheet and walked outside, you just get double
Yeah,
benefit.
it's wonderful. And
Thank
I'm
you.
from Florida. I'm a barefoot girl too.
It's so important. One of the other things that busyness and duty and distraction does for us is it keeps us from connecting with people. And that, our one-on-one interactions, I can read a bunch of stuff or watch, documentaries or whatever at night. But when I connect with you and you share a story with me, it sticks. It's concrete. And that's why in the old days of old, they shared stories all the time because they were so powerful. So let's see what we got time-wise. Oh, we still got some time. And I know some of you guys are busy and you have to log off. So just wave and don't feel bad. But I do have a few more things and I am going to record it for you. So this was, so we talked about grass. This was the little bit of the workshop that I attended yesterday by Cindy Ingram. Some of y'all artists may have heard of her, and Heather Doyle Frazier. They did a freebie. Of course, at the end, they were selling a $500. Yeah, you always got to kind of look at that. But I just like to give things free whenever I can and not put any strings on them. But this was very helpful. I want to tell you that I was negative about it at first because the whole first 30 minutes was rhythmic, soothing breathing. And then they went into a visual meditation. And it was fine, but it lasted way too long. It was way too long. And I was like, okay, come on. We got to get to the stuff. What are we going to talk about here? I'll say discernment or judgment sometimes and not miss nuggets for whatever's going on in my head. So here's what they talked about. And if you would like to, I would love for you to get a piece of paper and try to answer these questions. I was resistant. I was busy. Destiny was needing me and there was all kinds of stuff going on. But when I wrote the answers to these 3 questions down, they were very enlightening. So if you have a piece of paper and pencil, here's number 1. Why is creativity important to you? Why is it important to you? Why do you create? And I'll give you just a minute to think about that. Might just be a few words.
Stress relief.
Yes. I put, I'm a chronic chronicler. So I put to capture moments because I don't want to lose them. So I take pictures and then I paint from them. And that's a big part of it for me, is I just want to grab and hold on to the moment. It nourishes my soul to create. And I want to make I want to make my little world more beautiful. That's another reason I create. Any other thoughts? Why you do what you do?
So I don't kill people. I've told you that before.
You all will love Pete. She does not beat around the bush at all. She's like my friend Charlotte says, I never found that bush to beat around. I love it. I love it. All right. So the next question, I'm going to let you write those down and we'll come back to them for a second. But these are helpful because honestly, if I make myself stop and think about some of these things, it really makes a difference in my behavior later, because I think, well, that's true. I remember I wrote that down. Let's see, what are some of your values as a creative person? And here's a list from Brene Brown of some examples of core values. What are your creative values? What's important to you as you create? This one was kind of hard for me. It wasn't real tangible, but I try to be honest in my creativity. A value for me is legacy, because I'm making these little sketchbooks for my granddaughter and I'm writing her letters in them and notes and memories and recording things for posterity. So legacy is important to me when I create. My health, like Peach said, health is important to me. So I know what I always share this in my classes. One of my art students that used to come, a little lady from East Tennessee, real country, she said, I get so dang grouchy when I can't paint. And that's part of the quality of life, to have some creative time.
Giving back is huge for me.
Mm,
Feel so
Yes.
blessed with all that I've been taught.
yes, me too. You can't help but want to give it back. You're a conduit. It flows in and it has to flow out. It has to flow out. I love that. Well, the other question, and I'm going to move us on because I know everybody's busy, is what are some stories you hold around your creativity? And this one was kind of difficult too for me, but what are some stories that you hold around your creativity? Maybe they're memories or things that they just really, when you think about them, they light your soul up. You're like, oh. I traveled a lot in the 90s and did workshops when they were affordable and when my kids were teens and I could leave them with their dad. And I got to travel with some lovely friends that I did art with every week. And we went all over the world, and really, we only went to Spain, but we went all over the country and went to workshops. And that's a story of my life that was so precious and beautiful, because I was just like thirsty. I was just so thirsty. I would stand in the galleries and look at the paintings and just my mouth open, just wanting to learn every brush stroke. So that's one of my stories. And Norma, you probably have this one, teaching relationships. And Robin, I think you've been a teacher too, or Belinda and Tiffany. Our relationships with people and the way we connect with people.
It shares our perspectives and emotions through creations. It inspires, encourages, and brings joy. And for me, it's also a legacy because I have a lot of grandchildren.
Mm. Well, yeah, you're leaving some tangible things for them too that are a part of you. I'd give anything if, the Bibles, the family Bibles that I have, if there was something written in there or something in between the pages that gave me a little clue of my great-grandmother, my grandmother, So legacy is important, the stories. And even studio space. Do you have a place to create that you just can't wait to get to? And Robin, you do. Obviously, I can see you surrounded by creative things. And Norma, you're there. You have that wonderful space. And I've made myself a space now.
But I want to say too, there's nothing more exciting. You were talking about teacher relationships than to see someone get it and light up and just get so excited. That's just a special feeling when you share it.
Oh, my classes, when I have, last week, in both my classes, I went around and was able to help almost every single student with a big problem. And I was just lit up when I left that class because I was like, I just felt, it felt so productive and so wonderful. And to get to see all those different pieces of artwork and be exposed to art, how different they all are. And it's just lovely to get to see what your students are learning and what they're doing, whether it's art or math or science. When they get it and the light bulb goes off, it's just precious. Or your children, you know, your grandchildren. Well, the thing, this last little segment is some things that we do that are threats to our creativity. I think the way we're thinking is so important. It was hard for me. This first one says you don't identify fully as creative, but you can feel the whisper of creation in your ear. For me, a long time, I could not identify myself as an artist when I first started studying. And I would always say I'm a student of art. And now when I introduce myself, I'm a portrait artist and instructor. And, you know, I don't have any trouble with that at all. I've sold paintings for many, many years, and I don't struggle with that confidence anymore of calling myself an artist. The second one is you have a creative or creative adjacent job where you create for others, but your voice and spark feel dry, parched, and neglected. So you're pouring into people all the time and you're not really getting to create yourself. This picture of journals was another one. You have a stack of empty journals. Robin, you might can speak to this. The perfect pens, the most glorious art supplies, and a list of, if only I had these tools, I would be able to create. And you have them. But then for me, sometimes I don't want to mess the beautiful, expensive journals up. So I wait until I'm going to do a masterpiece before I even pick them up. You're the one who keeps everything together in this busy world, but in keeping everything together, you've completely given away your time and energy, and there's nothing left for the possibility of creativity. I think all of us as women and mothers and grandmothers, teachers and workers, we can relate to this because I'm exhausted at night, and at about 10 o'clock when I get everybody to sleep, I think, I just don't have the energy to get it out. You had an experience at some point in your life that showed that being creative isn't safe. So you distance yourself from your creative nature. And I have a handful of students that have had very difficult childhoods and very destructive words said to them. And trying to overcome those voices that tell you you can't and you are dumb and you're not. Who do you think? I even struggle with this a little bit when I would look around in the world at all the beautiful art, and I would think, well, who do you think you are that you can do anything that even compares with some of this amazing art? We're in a time of absolutely fabulous art. We're exposed to it. So, and then maybe stepping into your creativity feels scary and foreign after a lot of time away from being creative. The last little thing I want to share with y'all, and we'll be done, and I know everybody's kind of slipping away, but I want to show you this little video. They showed this in the workshop yesterday. And as you watch it, it's only about 1.5 minutes. It's a dance, and the man represents a hummingbird, and the woman represents a flower. And it's, you know, it's a beautifully done dance. But I want you to think about how it represents creativity to you. See it? first when I was watching, I was kind of like, I don't know about that. But when I listened to people respond, here were some of the answers that people were in this workshop. They mentioned the push and pull of creating, ebbs and flows of creating, and just the way that, you know, the flower and the hummingbird kind of came together and then came apart and then came together and came apart. And just, you know, even just watching nature, sometimes you can relate with what's going on in the world and how there's so many things that are just pulling us away from creating. That made sense to me. Another person mentioned that it's not just the result of what we create, because that's what we put so much stock in, but it's the process. What is it doing to me in the process of creating? What is it, you know, the nourishment that it's given to my soul? So there were some other words that were included, like your comfort zone, but this was all about your comfort zone. And she talked a lot about the threats to our creativity, and then what ignites your drive to create. What kinds of things inspire you and give you the inspiration and courage to create? And then how is creativity soothing to your soul? How does it help you rest? And, you know, Winston Churchill said it in that little book, Painting as a Pastime. He said, painting has given me a heightened sense of observation, because you have to really look at what you're doing. And he also says that painting or drawing or being creative, and I'll just add those to it, helps our brain to rest. Because even when we're sleeping, our brain is still moving and turning. And so there's something very restful and therapeutic about creativity and doing art. Somebody else with that video, it mentioned the imposter syndrome. Have you heard of that before? And then some things that ignite your creativity are, for me, it's looking at beautiful art, looking at Pinterest, watching beautiful movies that are filmed beautifully, the lighting and the colors. Those get me excited. Even watching people paint sometimes, you know, finding a YouTube video or something that's just lovely. Writing down the monkey chatter in her head to try to get it out so that she could move beyond and create. So these were some helpful things to me. I was blessed by the time in the workshop, even though there were some things that I didn't, you know, what is it? Take what you like and leave the rest. You know, that's kind of the way of the world these days. That if you want to find good, you will find it. I thought next time we would do paying attention to reference material inside your home. Amy, I started with a walk around the house or walk around outside, and our whole encouragement has been to get outside at least for a few minutes every day and notice what's beautiful that God has made and record some of that for reference and inspiration. But I thought, you know, when I look around my home, you know, you walk past a window. I cut some flowers the other day for Destiny's birthday party, and the sun was coming just through the kitchen window on the top of a blue vase with a little zinnia in it. It was absolutely beautiful. And just to heighten our awareness of reference material all around us, things that will ignite our drive and excite us about creating. And these are just a couple of paintings I found, but this is a kitchen sink. And, you know, it looks staged, but so maybe sometime you just have one little corner that you take a picture of. This reminds me of my grandmother's house, the kind of faucet she had in that old house in the bathroom. And to take something like that to make beautiful art out of, the light coming in the window, the soft blue, there's blue and yellow, there's warmth in that window pane, and there's coolness in that window pane. So I think that's what I'll cover, unless God shows me something else, but I will do this again, and I'll keep you posted. If you want me to, just let me know, and I'll send out another invitation for it.